anytime anybody does that, all it does is raise more suspicion that wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. So, and then in my observations, I started looking at the aircraft. They're mostly unmarked white, either C-141s or KC-135s, which are the air refueling tankers, basically the same as the 707. And they were flying all these patterns, and then they started doing the cross-hatching. And the cross-hatching, basically, I know they can follow that from the satellites to see the storm and front movements. But I've got photo documentation of they started spraying a beautiful clear sky in the morning, and it was 2 hours later had a total sky cover on it. 2 hours. I was totally amazed. And like I said, I've got a lot of this documented, so I know for a fact they're doing it.
What do you think about the possibility that this project is going to come forward in full force and expanded at a very high level, like 200 parts per million, under the guise of, quote, global warming? How does that make you feel, and what do you think about it?
It's deceptive, and I'd like to see the entire HARP project terminated as soon as possible. That has the potential to tap into the etheric energy of the Earth, and it affects all life forms. Frankly, I think it's insane.
I do too.
Oh.
I do too. And when Copenhagen happened last year, I wrote a piece on the things that were omitted from the entire climate discussion that were not even allowed on the table, and HARP was one of the keys.
Oh, yeah. They're doing weather programs, and they say that we're going to change the weather by 2025. They're going to own the weather by 2025.
Yeah, I think the article says we're going to own the weather.
Yeah, how in the hell can you own the weather if you're not doing weather programs? Now, I know the Air Force better than military better than that. I was with them for 4 years. I saw a lot of things that I just soon not talk about. But basically, it's all a big lie.
The Tesla patent is owned by Raytheon.
Yes, that's another, yeah, right.
So I think they do own the weather right now.
Well, they certainly own the technology, and they own patents on powder generators to create them. In fact, the Agricultural Defense Coalition website, I'm not sure how many documents Rosalind has posted right now. I haven't checked it lately, but the goal was like 26,000 documents. Seriously.
I love her. She's done such a remarkable job. Let's tell them about that website again.
It's Agriculture Defense Coalition.
.org?
.org.
Okay, great. Remarkable. In fact, I'm going to put an ad up for her sponsorship ad because everybody should be reading the material she's posting.
She's an incredible researcher. I've been thrilled to even be associated with her.
She's stellar. And the thing that she said about the Navy going in and able to kill 5 million sea animals and habitats because of the experiments they're doing in the waters so upset me. So much upset me, I can't even tell you. I'm still reeling from finding that out.
I don't know how they ever got an EIR into the process without total government intervention.
Nobody controls the Navy. The Navy runs everything. Everything, including our satellites that have to do with warfare. Right.
And I don't know if you've seen the new book out about NASA by Richard Hoagland. It's called Dark Mission.
Oh, yeah. It was out, I think, 5-6 years ago or something.
Yeah, it's an older publication, but wow. I mean, it's all the things. You want to know about secret stuff.
Yeah. They've had several space programs that have nothing to do with the public.
The public's being left out of all of this. In fact, we've been lied to, and we're being dumbed down. You know, if you speak up, you're a conspiracy person. I love Jesse Ventura's site.
He makes the whole thing a lot of fun. He's a very good researcher, and he's tackling a lot of the things that are going on. The thing is that a lot of people don't want to know and don't want to look at it because, A, it's very painful, B, they feel helpless, and C, they don't know what to do about it. Even if a critical mass finds out and we put pressure on elected officials, the fact is that a lot of the elected officials are going to be told by the people that are carrying out the black projects, you do exactly what we tell you to do, or you're going to be gone, or your family's going to be gone. And that's what happens. When Dennis Kucinich came forward with the Space Preservation Act that included commitments to not spray the air, the aerosol programs, he was told never to talk about it. Never.
Yep.
And to remove it from the original treaty.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the irony of the very term chemtrails that they're talking about. As far as I can tell, that originated from a military contract document for Space Wars planning. So, the military coined the term, and it's ironic now that anybody that uses that term is like you said before, they're being discredited.
I'm wondering if you happen to know, Allan, how to chelate some of these nanoparticles out of our system. We're obviously breathing it in, and I think everybody should have toxic metals tests. They're inexpensive and they're critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when it comes to nanoparticles, I'm going to have to profess I am no expert on nanoparticles. I'm not sure how those would be different than, say, other metals in the ecosystem. Now, I know from a biological standpoint, from Microbetech, in most of the water treatment and soil treatments we've done, the microbes are able to immobilize a lot of the metals and put them into compounds that aren't available. So it basically ties them up and keeps them from being problems to agriculture.
You mean functionally neutralizes them?
A good part of them.
Okay.
Now, we don't have enough data to say how much and under what conditions exactly.
So who would call you to order the products that you have? Explain what you're doing now.
Well, what we have are microbial mixes that are designed, and they were patented for water cleaning, soil treatment, and reinoculation to reinoculate the soils, restore the health to the soil, clean the waters and restore the waters and restore their health.
How would a microbe work in water? Give an example. Share with us what that means.
Sure. We did one pond for the Department of Fish and Game here in the Bay Area. It was called West Bahia Pond, and it had an invasion of toxic blue-green algae. And that particular algae, produced huge amounts of sulfur compounds, and the neurotoxins were at incredibly high levels. And it was dangerous to breathe, and it really smelled like sewage. Around the edge of the pond, the material, the algae flocculated on the shore, meaning it foamed, and then the foam turned hard, and it really looked like stools off across the bench. I thought they had a sewage outbreak when I first saw it, and it smelled like it, and that sewage odor was blowing across the entire Bay Area. It was disgusting. Fish and Game was ordered to do something, but gosh, almost all the solutions except ours involved things that they couldn't do then. Wrong time of year, no money to do it, a lot of other reasons. But anyway, so they contracted us, and we went in, and with the help of, in fact, it was a multiple agency program. It was, for the state, but it was also Sonoma County and Marin County Mosquito Abatement District brought their equipment in. They did a great job of applying it. So they took a lot of the actual work to keep their costs down. We said, that's fine. We'll just provide the product. That works for us. Anyway, they sprayed the whole thing. It's 110 acres. It's a big pond. And immediately the water turned brown. The odor stopped. And then it took about 3 months, without any air. It was already in a eutrophic condition. It was pretty disgusting. It took about 3 months for the waters to really clean. When we started, there were no fish. There were no birds on the pond, which was unusual, and they were on all the other ponds at the time. But there were dead birds along the shoreline.
I feel so bad what's happening to birds and to bees.
It was disgusting. But anyway, at 3 months, and the other ponds started turning bad. We ended up having the only pond that had fish in it, and the birds were on it. It was a dramatic reversal of conditions. And then as they opened it all up to flow, they broke some levees, and it was an isolated pond. And anyway, when they broke the other levees and the water flowed from higher benches into the pond, it got treated. And you could watch the microbes treating this stuff.
That's a pond, but what about regular water? Is that something we would use at home or no? Not really?
No, we have stuff to put down the toilets to clean your, the waste and sewage. Most of the time what you're looking at is ponds that are getting algae. When things warm up, the algae bloom. And what our microbes do in the water is they outcompete the algae for food. They're quicker. And in fact, a typical example is we have one area that we've treated, and when it comes into the springtime and it starts warming up, the algae just starts to bloom, but then the microbes eat the material right out from under the algae, and they start to die from starvation. And then the